things. Hope you don't mind if we record some part of this.
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what you are doing is actually you are trying to convey the message that this empowering process named education is actually there for anybody, right?
Yeah,
and this can really help anyone. Of course, we need to think about the ecosystem. We need to think about how education could reach other people. So it's not only the humans that they need to reach out to education, but also education that has somehow the necessity to reach the human. So we need to go both ways. But your education or EduTimes as a magazine is a good magazine because it really conveys this message of hope and this message of the fact that anyone could really do a lot, depending on the way that you are investing in yourself. Education is investment in people. Education is investment in human capital. And so you are doing a good contribution to that in order to spread in the word and talk about good things.
Thank you very much, sir. You may have also noticed that right from day one, sir, we've been talking about technical education, and the reason for that is because we believe that, you know, Nigeria. I don't know how much you know about Nigeria. I want to believe it sort of represents most of Africa as well. In Nigeria, a lot of people want their children to go to university because their neighbor's child goes to university. And they feel that, well, it's a very ego-driven society. And we believe that if so-and-so's daughter or son could go to university, then my son could go to university as well. And a lot of them don't actually look at their child's qualities and their child's strength, to know whether it is university they should actually go to or whether they should pursue a more technical type of education. I remember speaking to one of the deans at the University of Lagos, and he was telling me, in fact, he put it in the newspapers, that 60% of students at University of Lagos should not be there because they should have pursued another educational path. Now, so that's a major problem we have in Nigeria, is the fact that a lot of people are not playing to their strengths, partly because the parents feel that this is what I want my child to do because that is what it's expected. That's why you also find a lot of students in Nigeria in particular, doing all sort of terrible things just to get the certificate from university. A lot of vices, all sort of things happen just to get that certificate, and they come out at the university knowing very little because they should never have been there in the first place. So who's losing? The child is losing. The society is losing because the child has some strengths that are not being recognized and not been developed for the society to develop to benefit from. So we recognize this. I mean, there's something that we felt quite strongly about even before we started the magazine, and we said, look, we're going to use this platform to try and get this message across. That is not just a matter of academic education. Academic is great for who that is suited for, but let us try and put it in a spotlight. Let us start that conversation. That there are other forms of education as well that are just as good, that are just as beneficial, that and have just as much dignity. So that is why even from the very first edition, we interviewed GIZ, from the very first edition, just to try and put that across. So I just wanted to mention that because it's something that we are quite passionate about. We're basically what we want is we want self-actualization, and that can only happen when you're doing your own strength, what your strength is, when you're doing what you should be doing. So we feel that our society is losing a lot because of that. A lot of people are becoming bums and doing almost nothing, next to nothing. Why? Because they're not doing what they should be doing. Not because they don't have talents, not because they don't have skills, but because those talents and skills are not being recognized, and they're not being catered for the person to actually develop. So a lot of people are actually becoming, wasting their lives, because of that reason. And then at the end of the day, it's society that's losing. So we're trying to try and draw attention to that. So I just wanted to mention that to you, sir.
Yeah. I think it's good that you are addressing the technical education, and I'm coming to in a while why it's good.
Yes,
But for me, education is like a house.
yeah,
All levels of education are important.
yeah,
How can you have a solid house of a second floor if your first floor is not solid? And how can you
that's right.
have a first floor solid and robust if the ground floor is not solid?
That's right.
And how can you have a ground floor which is solid if the foundation is not solid? So education starts basically in families, when you are 3, when you are 4, when you are 2, when you just start to
Yeah,
discover your surrounding. But it continues to the primary schools and the secondary schools. They are equally important. We were talking about values. When you talk about values, when you talk about respect, when you talk about acceptance, opinions, freedom, acceptance of other opinions, tolerance about differences, openness. Those are values that actually are transmitted in the primary education,
yeah,
and the secondary education is a little bit also you're discovering as a humans in your surrounding, your behavior with the nature, your behavior with your city, your social responsibility as a human, your give and take relationship with your society, and also the way that we have to live. We are talking about global warming and climate change, and how can we use, the energy, how do we have to use energy, and so on. So those are really discovering phases, and this is really the role of the secondary education. Of course, secondary education also about science and physics, because those are the
yes,
foundation that we will need later.
yes,
And then, yes, it will come to the technical. And I think technical education is relevant for Africa because now it's time for Africa to go industrialized. And I do see a development of the economy of African nations. Of course, when we talk about Africa, we should be always careful. We talk about 54 countries, so we do not talk about one country, So, but nevertheless, the African countries, they are all going in a pace of industrialization. More and more middle class is developing, and more middle class has a capacity to address and to become a consumer. But consuming means also manufacturing, and manufacturing means technology. So technical matters are important. And in this forum, we were discussing about, for example, telecommunication, access to internet, mobility, cars, a lot of production right now about batteries in Congo, for example, so that these batteries will be used in e-cars, and those e-cars will be used by Africans, families and Africans people. So and technical education does matter, and the point is that we have also a work to be done in order to value up technology in a society. And many times the value is not existing because people are missing the job. So you become a kind of mechanical engineer, but then you don't have a job. Or you become a kind of electronic engineer and you don't have a job. So therefore, you do not go, and the society does not recommend anyone to go for technical education. But this needs to be changed. And one of the ideas we were discussing with the commissioner for education here this morning is that in the future, in the context of Africa, we need to think African. That means we need to start to make a reverse engineering from the labor market, from the demand in the economy. If we need to develop energy, and we need to have let's say production of renewable energy for people to have access to electricity, then we need to think out, okay, what does that mean in terms of skills, and how do we design a technician that will be adapted for this kind of job in the African context. We should not come with our European standards and say, oh, in Europe we do it in this way, let's do it that in this way, or in Nigeria or in another country. This would be wrong.
Yes.
And I think if we do that, we do guarantee jobs because it's demand driven. So if you are reverse engineering the demand in terms of education, then we do guarantee the job, and therefore we can value up the education, technical and vocational education for the African nations. That yes, TVET is worth it because it will give you a job, and job means future, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. I totally agree with you. Ade, are you there?
I'm very much here. I'm so very much with you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
clearly.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, very fantastic contribution and very fantastic stuff that Nader has been talking about. And the truth is that, again, thank you so much for everything you've been doing with us. Thank you so much for everything you've been doing for us, and everything that you will be doing together going forward into the future. We really want to appreciate you for that. I must say that what you have said, everything you've talked about now is completely on point. I've been opportune in the recent times to be in some meetings, in some governmental meetings. If you look at the challenges we're facing as a country, Nigeria in particular, with the exchange rates, technical education is critical. If you look at the industrialization that we need to embark on in terms of the manufacturers and all of those that needs to begin to, improve on how they do things and where they do things, technical education is critical. Just recently, a power plant was being commissioned somewhere in neighboring Ogun State, the Agbara project. I don't know if you're aware of that. There is going to be quite a whole lot of technical content that is going to lie in there. The rail lines that are beginning to show up, the blue line, the red line, all of these rail lines that are beginning to emerge, in Lagos State, and it's beginning to emerge. I understand Ogun State is going to be doing that again very soon to connect to Lagos, and Oyo State is connecting to Ogun State to connect to Lagos. Definitely, all of the skill sets that will be maintaining and sustaining this infrastructure will not be imported. They will be brought from within the country. In as much as the technology and the concept will be imported, but in terms of the development and those that will be actually sustaining that infrastructure, they will come from the local system, from our environment. So it just goes to show that technical education is critical going forward, and those that come in early into that space are going to be the ones that will actually get rewarded early enough going forward as well. So everything you've said is very much on point, and we really quite appreciate your input as far as the technical education conversation is concerned. Thank you very much, Nader.
Yeah, pleasure. I don't know if you are aware of World Skills movement.
Yes. I've heard of it.
Read that.
So, World Skills is an international movement. It's there since 1952. Is to benchmark excellence in TVET. Since then, and countries are members, and so 10 years ago, I think it was 10 years ago. Festo is my company is a sponsor. Since 1991, we are sponsoring a number of skills competition, mechatronics, water technology, etc. So we said, okay, there are many countries around the world, but not enough African countries. So in 2015, we took the challenge that within 10 years, by 2025, we will have at least 10 African countries. So, and we started really to promote the topics, and we run World Skills Africa with 3 countries and 3 professions, 3 competitions. That was in Dar es Salaam in 2016. So it was a small step, baby step. And then we repeated the same experience in Kigali in 2018 with, I think it was 5 or 6 skills and 7 countries. So it was already bigger.
Yeah.
And then the COVID happened. But then we repeated the WorldSkills, and this time together with African Union and SIFA, the Skills Initiative for Africa, managed by NEPAD, AUDA NEPAD, African Union Development Agency, and NEPAD, the new partnership for development in Africa, in Johannesburg. And we ran the third WorldSkills Africa in Namibia. And this time we had 15 trades, professions, and maybe also 15 countries. And a lot of countries are participating. Zambia is there, and Kenya is there, and you name it. And Morocco, also North Africa. And now, even more, the African Union has created a permanent desk of WorldSkills Africa together in NEPAD office headquarters in Johannesburg. So now Africans are taking the leadership on skills excellence to value up Tibet. And this is really important. I'm so happy about that because even if that at the beginning it was like a baby step, but within a couple of years we could really create a true conviction from African leaders that skills matter. So we always say skills change lives. So and okay, Nigeria is not there. I'm wondering why. Maybe it's because of the federal systems of your country, so that you do not have one Minister of Education but many Ministers of Education, and maybe we need to approach the government, and the government has to back up an organization of your country to represent your country in the WorldSkills community. But I can already tell you, I'm supporting this movement, and as a person, as also as a company, and we hope to even do more in the future. So, and this is really important and valuing of the Tibet for African economies. So, if I would be African, I would love to have my country part of this movement. And I was having a discussion with my friend from Israel the other day. I say, what is a country that you would like to leave for your children and grandchildren once you leave this planet, and start with the end? And I would just say also the same to African decision makers. What's a country you would like to leave for your children and grandchildren when you leave? This means that I'm addressing the individuals as a kind of give and take relationship. We are all humans, and we need also to have a kind of take from our society, but what is also or give to the society. I think right now you may not have this expectation from the person on the street. I mean, simple person, right? But you do have, and we should have this expectation from the decision makers. That are sitting, in the places where they take decisions, not only for themselves, but also for a part of society. So this is my expectation to the African leaders. What is the country and the continent that you would like to leave behind once you are passing away?
Well, this is a very critical and very personal question. Well, the day they start to think that way is the day that things will change.
Actually, I'm planned to come to Nigeria. We are developing a project with the University of Abuad,
Okay. Yes.
And there is a center there that's called FACT. It's a FESTO authorized and certified training center. So my company does not only work with education system to provide good classrooms and equipment and teacher training, curriculum. Not only this, we also train 42,000 employees from companies, from manufacturing companies around the world every year. And we do have an education program for adult education. So my idea is to work in a triangular collaboration with a private university, and I do believe that Abuad is a good university, and also to team up with the Chamber of Commerce. the German Nigerian Chamber of Commerce. Because why German Chamber of Commerce? Because the Chamber of Commerce are representing basically the demand side, the demand of company side, in terms of skills and qualification. And I would like to design a program together so that we would be offering our program to the industry. So that the people working in industry, because they are implementing new technology, they will need more qualification, upskilling, reskilling, and therefore they will come to the university and they will learn on a stackable basis, on a modular basis. They will complete their qualification, lifelong learning, basically. And then they will receive a kind of joint certification from ABUAT, German Chamber of Commerce, Festo, as a kind of acknowledgement their skills in the labor market. And by doing so, we are not only generating a flow of money, because the flow of money is not in terms of profit, the flow of money is in terms of financial sustainability, because we will need to invest money also tomorrow, after tomorrow, because technology is changing. We need to pay the trainers, but also more importantly, the way that we understand what is the demand of the industry, the better we can fine-tune, tackle the education for the young students, so that once they are leaving the university, they are immediately employable. And this model could be a good model. I'm very confident it could be a good model for Africa, because we need to connect education and the labor market. And this connection many times is missing. So there's a disconnect, and we need to bridge the two worlds. And this could be a good mechanic for that.
That's right.
And now I have the honor to be selected, to have been selected as an advisor, private sector advisor to the European Union in this Global Gateway program. So I will be.
Congrats.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
I'm very excited, because I can put my experience a little bit at the service of the European Union to define a little bit what we can do. Because this gentleman said, European Union has been spending a lot of money, but now we need to make sure that this money is more efficient. And so and they realize that they need to have an interaction with the private sector. So I can also maybe try to use EduTimes for that purpose. Maybe one day I can bring you a kind of article, maybe just started, but maybe I can write an article on the Global Gateway, and then maybe I can connect you to the European Union.